Hey, this is the Promise Antonio Thomas, and you are listening to GoTarryn TV. You need a personal trainer. You need to turn your life around. Go, go, go. Get yourself to see Tarryn and turn your life around.
Hey everybody, welcome to GoTarryn TV today. I'm Tarryn the Traveling Trainer. It's episode number 418, and we've got on the phone all the way from Lowell, Massachusetts. You heard him earlier. He's the Promise, Antonio Thomas. Antonio, welcome to today's GoTarryn TV show.
Thank you for having me, Tarryn.
Well, the pleasure's all ours. Thank you for taking time out of your schedule to come here. We're really honored, and it's a great pleasure to have you on. And today, if it's okay, Antonio, I wanted to just touch upon your wrestling career. We could delve into that, your current endeavors, what you're doing up in Massachusetts, and also maybe some of the personal training as well. So we'll touch on a lot of topics, but let me just say a few things about you. So for the folks watching out there, you've heard of Antonio Thomas, a.k.a. The Promise. He's wrestled in the WWE and the Raw brand, one half of the Heartthrobs with Romeo Roselli. And so, again, we got a lot to touch upon. I'm going to try my best to chronologically get this in order on my half. But let me ask you first question here, Antonio. Have you always been a wrestling fan?
Yeah, pretty much since the age of 8 or 9. I just became immersed in wrestling and, kind of grew up in during the Hulk Hogan, Roddy Piper peak years in WWF.
Okay.
Just kind of, had all the LJN figures, went to all the shows, and just grew from there.
Okay, cool. That's awesome. And then, you must have been a pretty long WWF fan, it sounds like. And I'm guessing that because pretty much you grew up in the Northeast, correct?
Yep.
Okay, cool. That's awesome. And so pretty much growing up there, you jumped into wrestling. I know you made your debut sometime around 2001. Can you talk to us about the training? What was involved with that? And I know that one of the notable trainers that you started was with Lance Storm.
Lance Storm wasn't until I got to OVW with WWE in 2004. But I grew up. Started watching WWF, but I loved watching the NWA. I loved the Four Horsemen. I watched AWA. I watched anything that was on TV. All the territory stuff on Saturdays, and I loved. After a couple of years, I started really like the heels or the bad guys, and just gravitated just to everything. But I was just a fan of any wrestling, and beginning of 2001, I started training at Killer Kowalski's in Boston.
Okay.
And then I started training after a few months with school and with work. It was more feasible for me I found a trainer here locally that was a very good trainer for beginning fundamentals and kind of getting up and running off the ground. And he had a lot of connections to do shows, and he had a ring that we would go and set up and kind of pay your dues on, and that's how I started to have my first match in September of that year, and just started going from there, just working all around New England, just kind of trying to make a name for myself and get noticed, and you're always paying your dues, but early on it's really fun, and the journey's just beginning, and to kind of how I got everything up and running.
Okay. I'm going to ask you about a few of the trainers and just ask your, pretty much general opinion of them, and if you could tell us how it went with them. How about, before we get to Lance Storm, what about Steve Bradley?
Steve was awesome. Steve was in WWF developmental for 4 years or 5 years and never caught a break. Helped train Kurt Angle, was a roommate of him, helped him teach him how to do a moonsault, and he's just a guy that, unfortunate, sad case, he passed away in 2008, but Steve, when he came back to the area and started running his own promotion, I would go up there, up to New Hampshire. I'd drive up 2 hours, usually once a week, sometimes twice, and train with him additionally, as well as while I was training. And he just taught me kind of not to think so crowd reactions and to get out of a choreographed mindset of just kind of thinking wrestling has to be one way, and just more into getting a reaction from the crowd, teaching me how to work, not just be just a generic kind of,
like cookie cutter, basically.
Yeah, cookie cutter, exactly.
Yeah, that's smart. Okay.
And then going back to Boston, how about Killer Kowalski? How was it training under him?
It was definitely it made you realize that this is it. I'm in this. I'm with the big boys now. I'm with, that's Killer Kowalski, and there's some big guys in here, and you guys take it seriously. And, I learned how to take my bumps there, run the ropes, do all, a lot of my basics for the first few months. Met so many guys that I ended up going to WWE with and wrestling for years after that and becoming great friends with. So that's where I met many of my really good friends in wrestling, like Slick Wagner Brown, John Walters, Ken Doane, all these guys started there when I started there, or they had been there longer. Eddie Edwards. So it was really, it was kind of my introduction to the wrestling world being there, because I had no idea that independent wrestling existed, and there were all these other people just like me kind of, gunning for the same thing.
Yeah, certainly. And here's another name for you. How about Kevin Landry?
Kevin is who I started training with right after Killer Kowalski's. And okay. Kevin was local guy that did a lot of extra work and did a lot of dark matches for WWF and WWE.
Okay.
In the late 90s, early 2000s. And, I owe so much to Kevin because he kind of gave me a second chance and taught me a great foundation. He always wasn't the best. He always didn't set the best example in terms of, how to act or how to think. But as far as laying the groundwork for me, he laid a great groundwork, and I learned a lot from him.
Okay. And then another name, how about Jeff Costa?
Oh, Jeff Costa is right up there with probably Lance as maybe probably the two best trainers that I've had. Lance because his temperament fit me, but Jeff Costa was a guy that is from this area and wrestled in Canada, the Tarryn for 10 years, all throughout the 80s and early 90s. And he came up with, from Kowalski's, he was a Kowalski guy that came up with, when Walter would still get in the ring and, did all the WWF shots in the early 80s, working with a young Hulk Hogan and Kurt Hennig and all those guys. So he was the only guy I knew of in the area that grew up in the shoot styles and knew all the hooks and how to actually defend yourself in the ring. And I had never had really any of that kind of training, and the realism, he brought me, he's awesome until this day. He's like my wrestling pop.
Oh, wow. Okay.
He's like a Bill Parcells type of no nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
And, chew you out if you suck. And that's what I needed when I didn't meet him until 2000. I worked a few shows for him early on in my career, but I didn't really start training and get to know him till 2009, and just gravitated because I wanted to learn. And then to this day, I just always wanted to learn and get better. And there's so much that I learned from him.
Very good. And then, of course, as you mentioned before, Ohio Valley Wrestling.
With Lance Storm, what are your
impressions of, you mentioned that his temperament fit you very well. What else about Lance Storm that, you liked about his training style?
He just told you the way it was. He was very easygoing. There's never been anyone I've ever met that didn't like Lance. He wouldn't yell at you. He didn't beat you up physically.
Okay.
The goal is to make you better, not to like prove a point or try to scare you off or run you away from the business. He wanted to get the best. He's just taught you how to work and be professional and carry yourself with class and just so many little subtleties and nuances that I use to this day and help to spread to others and help try to teach them if I can to just do things a little differently or with a little more realism, to give what you do a little more substance. So just a great person. So
I
love training under him. He's how you would expect him to be.
Oh yeah. I could tell you, I totally agree with saying that he's a great person, really nice guy in person. Actually, funny story. I think this is probably 1994. I could be off, maybe a year, give or take. I think it's about 94. I first met Lance Storm as a fan myself. He was wrestling at a Smoky Mountain Wrestling show in Atlanta. I believe it was the Cobb County Civic Center.
And he was just totally nice, really cool.
Gave me an autograph and a picture, and just a really cool guy. So I could totally say that as a wrestling fan.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, so it says a lot of his character. And okay, so then we fast forward a little bit. I know that we talked about in early 2001. It was your debut in wrestling. So this was the early 2000s. We move on a couple years to 2003. I got another name. Somebody definitely close with you, your partner. How about Romeo Roselli? What can you tell us about Romeo?
I met Romeo before I even had my first match. He was trained by Kevin up here in Springfield, and we just kind of gravitated to each other because we had the same goal to be in WWE and just this to be our living. And
yeah.
We both were hardworking. We were both in shape. We were both serious about this. And, he just said, hey, we should tag. And this was before I had my first match. And then eventually down the road, we came up together. We do shows all around the Northeast together and with, a lot of the crew that we drove with and worked with, and got our chance, the two Eastern Wrestling Alliance to finally team, pretty regularly. And then once we found ourselves in OVW together, Jim Cornette, we approached him with the idea of teaming down there, and then he kind of came up with, he was cool with it. He wanted to do it, and he kind of told us what he wanted us to be, and, that's what, kind of how we came together. But I mean, he's like a brother to me because we've gone through things. We're in a fight. We never came to blows or anything. We always traveled together. We ate and trained together. Mm-hmm. So I mean, we can read each other's minds without having to speak with each other. And I was in his wedding, and we talk to each other to this day. And you don't always agree or see eye to eye on things, but at the end of the day, that's literally like your brother. And we've gone through things that nobody else can know. You have that bond there, so we'll always have that.
That's so cool. Who came up with how did you guys come up with the Heartthrob name?
We're the Heartbreakers. before we got to WWE. That's what Jim Cornette's idea.
Okay.
Because he wanted us to kind of be, as a gimmick. He said he wanted us. For 20 years, he was looking for two good-looking, in-shape guys, and he had it. It wasn't it wasn't our first choice, but we said, well, and put our own little kind of Night at the Roxbury, Zoolander spin on it, to just kind of have fun with it, and went from there. And then when we went to WWE, they just changed the name because of the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. So
of course, right.
So yeah, it's the same. Heartbreakers, Heartthrobs. It's cool.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And what are your memories of being called up to the Raw brand around 2005?
Call from Tommy Dreamer on a Friday saying we were going to debut Monday night in Madison Square Garden.
Oh, wow.
They didn't know anything about us, what our name was going to be, who we were going to wrestle. And I just remember we were both freaking out and excited. And but looking back on it, after all that, it was like way too quick. We weren't, we were like, college football players who were, just new, freshmen going up to the NFL. We just played as a tag team. And, so, I mean, we did the best we could up there, but we were way too green, way too young, and 2 or 3 years of being in the business isn't enough to be up there with. We're literally boys among men. It's a Shark Tank, and we kind of just floated and treaded water as long as we could, but now, in wrestling. Wrestling is very much like, very rare is it where you don't put in your 10 years or your, 15 years of paying your dues and, struggling before you can finally make it, but be ready and be prepared. So it's the same thing, it takes years to get your routine, your act down or to evolve. And we just were, we're babies at that point. So,
yeah, I mean, you guys were like what, early 20s around that time? I mean, roughly
20. Yeah, that's wow.
25, 20. Yeah, mid to late 20s. So
wow.
we weren't kids, but
But that is awfully young, though. I mean, so now, okay, and then the last say 10 years, we've been on the independent circuit. I'll throw out some companies here and just ask you your impressions. Let's start with your recollection of MXW.
MXW.
Yeah,
that was
2006, I believe.
That was you.
I think that's right. Yes.
It was those shows were fun.
Okay.
Very fun, actually. He brought in a lot of the best independent talent at the time. I get to work with, a lot of great guys that he put me with. Claudio Castagnoli, who is now Cesaro. Trying to think who else. Get to working as my tag partner, Eddie Edwards, Slick Wagner Brown. He'd bring in, low-key Frankie Kazarian, Chris Daniels. He'd bring in a lot of great talent to those shows, mix it with a lot of good local talent. So those shows were very fun. And, they didn't last. I think it was 2006, 2007, but they were fun. Okay. And I love Joel. Joel's a great guy, so it was cool to work with him and for him.
He seems like a fun guy.
Yeah.
And then around 2007.
Okay, so you went back to being the Heartbreakers for one night with TNA on one of their pay-per-views, Destination X. What are your memories of that and coming out as Christy Hemi's mystery team?
It was cool. It was an opportunity. We got to work with New Age Outlaws, which was super cool. And, I think that they kind of wanted us to be like we were in WWE, but we weren't having that. We just wanted to kind of be ourselves. it was kind of, once WWE was over, it was like that was it. That was kind of dead and buried there, and wanted to be ourselves. So it was cool. It wasn't the best match. It was fine. You know, it was a match, but it was cool. I think they wanted us. Yeah, as I said, I think they wanted us to be like we were in WWE, and that, you know, it wasn't. It was more important to us to just be ourselves and, you know, just go out and try to have the best match we could.
Okay, and then how about
same question, Ring of Honor? What's your impressions of that company?
Well, I've always loved Ring of Honor. I remember going to one of their first shows in Philadelphia, and I've always loved it. I've always wanted to work for Ring of Honor. Never had the chance before WWE, and it was always a little harder after WWE because people would only know me as what I was in WWE, and that's really not who I was. I was just what I was playing. So, and the first time I finally had the opportunity to do a couple shots for Ring of Honor, and just liked it. It was always, you know, one of my things. I just always liked independent wrestling, Japanese wrestling, just whatever was kind of countercultural or against the mainstream. And so that was so I've done shows off and on for them for 5 years, and then when Jim Cornette was there and Adam Pearce took over as booker, I in the Northeast, so it was always fun. I love the product. I have a lot of friends there and who have gone through there, and who knows what can happen in the future. I'm not nearly done with my career, so I mean, they have some of the best athlete and talents in the world. So I've always been a fan, and I'm a fan to this day. So
cool.
I love it, and I loved getting the opportunity to be there, to put down resume or whatever.
Yeah. No, that's great. Yeah, I would agree with that assessment. I think that they are known for being if you can make it there, yeah, I mean, that says that you've got to be one of the best pure athletes and wrestlers. And then you had mentioned Japan. How about your memories of working over in All Japan Wrestling and over in Japan?
Oh, All Japan was a dream of mine.
Yeah.
And to get to go over there was it was very surreal. First match there, and just being there. I worked for All Japan in 2008 and 2010. Did 6 tours or 7 tours there, and loved it. And love Japan. Love it. Love New Japan Wrestling, and love Japanese wrestling till this day. And it's very much more competitive there. It's not so much entertainment based.
Yeah.
So, it's just my adding more realism to your matches. Little having the entertainment aspect, but focusing more on just having a good, solid, competitive, hard hitting match.
Oh yeah, certainly, absolutely. And then, okay, so now, I know with wrestling, you're also, I believe it's called Rome Wrestling Academy.
That was a place I went over at the end of 2012 and helped get that.
Okay.
In 2012, helped them kind of get up and running. So I don't know what happened to them, if they even still exist, but it was cool working with the guys there. I'd been to Italy in 2007 for a tour.
Oh, wow.
And went back there in 2012, so it was very cool to help and give back, and they didn't really have anyone to train them or give them guidance. So it was cool to help them out.
Okay, cool. And so now
switching gears a little bit here, you and I got the opportunity to meet last year at my neck of the woods in Atlanta, Georgia, at a fitness center, and I guess we got to give a shout out to Rob, your father, who comes to Family Life Center.
Yeah,
I'm sure he's watching right now and listening. So He's a great guy. Did he inspire you in ways of attaining, fitness and maintaining health and wellness and such?
Oh, my dad?
Mm-hmm.
I was always just a naturally strong guy, and
Mm-hmm.
so I always just remembered him always, he was always great at doing the thing at the carnival where you try to hit the sledgehammer up to the bell, and you'd always get that. So I was always like, yeah, that's my dad. He's big and
That's
strong.
awesome. Wow, that's awesome.
So yeah, so that kind of inspired me once I got into, I was always kind of scrawny, kind of somewhat grown up in high school. It helped me aspire to that. Plus I knew that I I always wanted to get into wrestling, so I knew I had to, I was never going to be, 6'5",
Mm-hmm.
250, but I knew that, I could control how in shape I was, and so that's kind of what led me into, getting into fitness, and it's really become a way of life and defines me in a way, totally a way of life, and is part of who.
That's really cool. And you also are
Certified as a personal trainer, correct?
Yeah, I went and I got into personal training in like 2008, 2009.
Oh,
wasn't
cool.
wasn't so much my niche, but I started to get into CrossFit back then before it really blew up, and
Okay.
I was working at a local gym that I went to, and gave it a try. It wasn't my thing. I'm all about teaching and helping people and learning. I just wanted to give back and do what I love, do what was part of me, do what I love doing, and kind of help people any way I could. So
That's awesome. Okay. And also, how about, can you talk about your endeavor of attaining a master's degree in exercise science?
yeah, it's actually in elementary ed.
Elementary education. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I right now I'm teaching, and I went and phys ed and
Cool.
health, and that's my goal, is to become a health teacher, PE teacher,
Nice.
more so health, and going for my master's right now in elementary ed, just because I love working with kids. I love giving back. I just love helping. I love learning and teaching and just helping give back to like so many people have helped me along the way. So, I'm in the process of working towards, I never was one for school, but I'm just really enjoy the process now, as opposed to just kind of floating by, during high school and first few years of college.
Yeah, well, I got to say, with everything you're doing, the teaching, going for your master's, working out, keeping fitness in shape, and wrestling, it's amazing you can keep such a schedule and be able to do everything. So, what does the short term, you talked about goals with attaining the master's degree, and with as far as wrestling goes, what is in the goals of this year, 2016, and in the future? What does that look like in wrestling?
In terms of wrestling, I don't know. I don't have any immediate goals. When I do wrestle, it's time to move into another chapter of
Yeah.
not being who I've. It's time to come up with a new. I've come up with a new kind of character persona that, where I'm just not the promise anymore. I'm just not myself. It allows me to, I've stumbled upon something recently that I've done on a few shows where I, just kind of changed my name and just kind of felt right. And it was the first thing that kind of felt comfortable for me. So kind of want to give that a try at some places, see where that goes. And, my body feels better now than when I took my first bump. So, so age isn't a factor with me. You can't put 15 years of wrestling is 15 years of wrestling, but I don't have the wear and tear on me, that high school athletes do. So I feel very fortunate for that. And, my immediate plans now is I do a lot of MMA training, which I love.
Oh, cool.
Going in a little bit to hit some pads and then grapple.
Cool.
So I really love that, and that's helped with my pro wrestling immensely. And just, I do that 4 or 5 times a week, and just trying to further my education, further myself professionally within teaching, and just, doing wrestling shows that are fun and that are, that I enjoy doing and that I look forward to doing, not keeping up a hectic schedule with wrestling, just to kind of stay active or try to stay relevant. That's not important to me anymore. That doing what is fun for me and what fits me and what's my niche is kind of what I found that I'm working towards both in teaching and in wrestling. It's a nice blend right now, so it's all coming together very nicely.
That's great. Oh, that's awesome, Antonio. Well, again, I'm really flattered and taken back and, excited to have you on here. And this past 30 minutes has just flown by really quickly for me. I can't thank you enough for taking time out of your busy schedule to come on here, and love to have you back on in the near future and see how this year's going for you. But before I let you go, if it's okay, could we get some contact information from you if you want to drop and plug anything, your Twitter or whatever, what have you? How can people listening best find a way to contact you directly if they wanted to say hi or send you an email or something?
Sure, yeah, absolutely. Just at Promise Thomas on Twitter.
Okay.
Pretty simple. Promise Thomas. Just hit me up on there. I will answer you back. If you got any questions, want to give me a follow, whatever. That's about it. Don't really have anything to plug coming up. Just, I'll leave that time for you so you can keep helping the people you've been helping. And, anyone that has any questions or any way that I can ever, help anyone out, whether they're in wrestling or whether outside of wrestling, I will always do that if somebody is willing to, put in the work and has a passion for whatever it is they're doing. So I'll always want to get back. So at Promise Thomas, hit me up on there, and just want to thank you for having me on.
No, my pleasure, Antonio. Again, I was really excited and so happy, and I can't wait to get this published so that people can listen to this because this was wonderful and fascinating, and I learned a lot. And I can't wait personally for you to hopefully visit Atlanta soon. Let me know, please, so that way I can shake your hand, and we'll meet at the gym where your dad's at. Maybe we can get a workout in together, too.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll go down and tell if you ever see, I thought you had Stevie Richards on a few weeks ago, man. Tell Stevie Antonio says, hey, tell him I love this match with Roderick Strong on Ring of Honor, and tell him to keep, we're both he's a little older than I am, but we're both turning back the hands of time. So tell him I said what's up, and the next time I'm down there, we'll definitely go to DDP's place and check it out.
Certainly. You know what? I'm so happy you reminded me because I go to that class on average once or twice a week, and I do see Stevie, so I will mention. In fact, last time when I told him I was going to be interviewing you, he told me to say hi, and he had some really high praise and really high regard for you.
He's a guy that just the same way, just wants to help people. Just loves wrestling and just wants to help people and loves staying in shape. So, man, he's I can't say enough good things about Stevie. So you tell him I said hi.
I will. Yeah.
Next time I'm down there, man, we'll all get together. So
yeah, let's definitely go take some DDP yoga. We'll go do that, and we'll talk wrestling. And who knows? We'll go hit up Atlanta and whatever. Go clubbing or whatever. That'd be fun.
I'm good, man.
All right, very good. Well, Antonio, thank you again so much for your time. Really love having you on here. And again, please hit me up, reach out to me when you come down, and I will look forward to seeing you soon again.
You got it, man. Thank you, Tarryn.
Thank you. My pleasure. All right, folks, that was Antonio Thomas, and here comes his Twitter contact information one more time. We'll see you, Antonio.
Take care. Bye.
All right, bye-bye. All right, everybody, there you saw it. The way to follow Antonio, the Promise Thomas, at Promise Thomas on Twitter, and follow him today. I'm telling you right now, that was a wonderful audio podcast. Learned a lot with that gentleman, and I'm excited that we had him right here on GoTarryn TV for y'all. We're going to have him back on in the future as well. And so, again, learned so much from him. It's unique how his audio podcast almost felt like my career parallels his in a way, and we're both into fitness, both into personal training, both attaining our master's degrees. So really cool stuff there. And again, Antonio Thomas, if you're watching, thank you so much again. And keep up the great work up there in Massachusetts. Hope to see you soon. Come on down. Hey, folks, after we're done recording, we were off the record just basically casually chatting and talking about having him come down so we could do some DDP yoga together with his father and with Stevie Richards and Dallas Page and everybody here in the greater Atlanta area. How cool would that be? So, again, Antonio, let's have you back here on GoTarryn TV as well, and it'll be terrific to see you in person as well. And everyone else watching, again, thank you so much for taking the time out of listening to this podcast today. Hope you enjoyed it as well. A few other things I can ask of you before I let you get going. Please make sure to go to the website link at the bottom of your screen right there, www.gotarryn.tv. Bookmark that website as a favorite to your web browser today and tell 2 people about that website. And if you haven't done so already, please make sure to like GoTarryn on Facebook, subscribe to GoTarryn on YouTube, follow GoTarryn on Twitter. Tell everybody about these video and audio podcasts that we're doing because it's growing. We're having more and more exciting guests right there, just like we did with episode 418. Antonio, the Promise Thomas, that I'll put another one in the books. And folks, the next video blog coming up, audio podcast, episode number 419, we're going to be having another gorgeous lady of wrestler. Gremlina will be joining us right here, all the way from Richmond, Virginia. That's right. Gremlina of the Glow Wrestling brand will be here on our next audio podcast, GoTarryn TV video blog, episode number 419. Make sure you tune in. Until I see everybody out there, please make sure to enjoy the rest of your day. Have fun. Enjoy this week, and we will see you in the next video blog. Remember, GoTarryn Personal Training is all about your time, your investment, and your life. Take care, everybody. So long.